Hey Nathan, we've got some breaking news. The stuff that you guys have been asking about for the last 5 years, and it's behind us. You know what that is, right?
That is the Hyundai Santa Cruz testing truck or testing mule. And I don't even know if it's a truck. They're calling it like a crossover truck. It's big news, folks, because a lot of you guys have been asking us tons of questions about it for years.
Yep, it's a 2021, we're thinking, and it's a prototype. And in this video, we're going to go over those spy photos that we just got today from, get this, Lapland, Finland.
Wow, okay, great.
Yeah, and if you recall, Nathan, we were at the show. Was it Detroit? It was Detroit.
It was
right?
Detroit.
5 years ago when Hyundai unveiled a surprise vehicle.
I'm excited to be here to introduce the Santa Cruz crossover truck concept.
Yeah, it was a really cool surprise too, because what they did was they put in some piping inside the sheet so it looked like an SUV, and it was actually just a piece of PVC pipe and everything else they had stretched over the back. And when they pulled it off, nobody was expecting it. It was a big surprise. And it was a really sharp looking vehicle. It looked almost production ready then, but it's a very different vehicle. I want to call it a truck, but it's really not. It's a really different vehicle than the one that we have behind us.
Yeah, and before we go over all the details, everything that we can guess at, everything that we know, let's talk about it, because what is it? I mean, is it a Subaru Baja? Is it a Honda Ridgeline? It certainly isn't a Ford F-250.
No, it's not. This is something that's, I think, a little tiny bit smaller than the Honda Ridgeline. It's going to be competing somewhat in the mid-size truck market, but it's not exactly a mid-size truck. For one thing, it doesn't have a full-blown frame, body-on-frame setup like, let's say, a Toyota Tacoma does. But in terms of size, in terms of audience, and as you can see here, in terms of having 4 doors that look like they're about as big as a mid-size pickup truck, it will compete in that class.
Yeah, the concept was really an extended cab, you know, with those clamshell doors.
Right.
This looks like it's the traditional 4-door, and let's face it, Americans love 4-door trucks, so why would you go with that kind of weird clamshell shape? All right, let's talk about Hyundai, because they have been on a roll, Nathan. They just introduced the Hyundai Palisade, and of course that's a sister vehicle to the Kia Telluride, and
Correct.
Both are phenomenal.
Yeah, they really are really good. And you know, they've also got Genesis, and they've been introducing some new vehicles, including that new crossover.
The GV80?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they've been doing some interesting things, but this has been a vehicle they've been promising us for a long time, and they've been kind of dangling it out there. And now we finally have some facts, and we have these photos.
So let's talk about what we know for sure, okay?
Yes.
Hyundai announced the Santa Cruz would go into production in 2021, so that's what we're guessing. It's a 2021. And it will be built at the Montgomery, Alabama plant. Now that's important because we know other vehicles that are built there, which we'll get into in a second.
Right.
And the Alabama plant currently produces the Santa Fe crossovers, the Sonata, and the Elantra sedans. I don't think it's going to be based on an Elantra.
No, but you can cross that off.
I think it's a good guess to say it might be based on a Santa Fe.
Yeah, they may share a lot of the components with the Santa Fe, which would make total sense because obviously they need to keep the return on their investment on the higher side.
So let's talk about the Santa Fe, because we can obviously guess at the fact that this might have the same powertrain. Right now there are 2 engines available. There's a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that produces 238 horsepower and 260 pound-foot of torque, and a 2.4-liter naturally aspirated 185 horsepower, 178 pound-foot of torque, which may be the standard engine in the new Santa Cruz. Comes paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, do you think that both those engines are powerful enough? I think so.
I think the turbo is the numbers I see on the turbo I like a lot, and Hyundai turbos are good turbos so far. They just give you really good acceleration, pretty decent economy.
Not much lag?
Not a lot of lag. And of course, yes, with the 8-speed automatic transmission, that's favorable as well. Now remember, this is a vehicle that I think a lot of people are going to want with all-wheel drive. I don't think it's going to be a 4-wheel drive vehicle. I don't think you're going to have a locking center diff, but you could have something similar to that. And so we don't know yet what they're going to use in terms of electronics, but it's going to be something interesting.
Yeah, you put your finger on it. This is definitely going to be like, well, think about the name Santa Cruz, right? It's a surf truck.
Yeah.
Right? But in these pictures, it's, flying around the ice in Finland. And so you can pretty much see by where the snow is flying that it is all-wheel drive or some version of that.
Right, and it looks like it has pretty good ground clearance too, which is a really good thing. So it's not too low to the ground. I think it's going to cut the difference between the current Honda Ridgeline in terms of its size and perhaps some of the older, smaller pickup trucks that used to exist.
Okay, let's talk about what we can kind of see in the pictures. So,
Right.
First of all, the front grille, if you take a close look at it, looks more like a Santa Fe and a little bit more like the Tucson. It's pretty much straight up.
Right.
So it's not as kind of angled as the original prototype was.
Yeah, that had a more of a futuristic look to it. This one is definitely a family resemblance.
And if you look at the side profile from the bed forward, it also looks like a Santa Fe.
Yeah, a little bit, and that makes sense. I mean, obviously, once again, they need to make sure that their investment returns, so they'd want to spend money in the right way.
And a close-up picture shows that these are Kumho Krugen all-season tires. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, I think you did. The wheels look a little bit unique, too. That's kind of interesting. And we're talking about 5-bolt lugs on this, so it's not anything special like a 6 or 8-bolt setup or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, those wheels remind me a lot of the Subaru Crosstrek XV or a Jeep Renegade, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Those have the same very similar size kind of design pattern. Now the bed, 5-foot bed maybe, slightly shorter than a Honda Ridgeline, which is just over 5 feet. What do you think? Hard to say, right?
It's hard to say, but here's an important point. When they were debuting this vehicle as a concept, they had an extendable bed which brought out almost another foot's worth of length.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It actually extended. I don't know if they're going to do that with this vehicle. If they do, it'll be absolutely awesome, but that's something we just don't know yet.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell. And of course, in terms of competition, we already mentioned the Honda Ridgeline, which actually doesn't sell that well in the midsize truck market.
Yeah, but for Honda, it's been a steady sales thing. It hasn't been dipping or anything else. It's just been right there and steady because a lot of Honda people buy that vehicle.
Yeah, so then you've got, of course, the Tacoma, the Ford Ranger, the Chevy Colorado GMC Canyon Twins, and of course the Nissan Frontier. Now, Hyundai may not market this as a pickup, but rather as a crossover with a bed. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. It's a smart thing for them because then they can say, hey, we don't compete, so we're not towing 5,000 or 7,000 pounds. We're not hauling 2,000 pounds, that type of thing. They can easily lower that number and say, well, this is because it's a crossover. And that's a smart idea. I'm really hoping it could tow up to 3,500 pounds, but I'm guessing it's going to be closer to 2,000 pounds. And there is one other question, though, that a lot of people have been wondering. Will it have a collapsible gate inside, basically a bulkhead that drops kind of like it did with the Chevy Avalanche? And if so, will that make it a larger bed? We don't know.
So, they're kind of in this, I like to call it the fish nor fowl, right, segment. The Subaru Baja was there, right? These were vehicles that were designed as lifestyle vehicles that didn't quite have the capability of mid-sized trucks, but were more kind of targeted toward urban dwellers. Think people like in LA,
Well,
right, who didn't have a lot of garage space.
a lot of people here in Denver and Boulder, too.
Yeah, but then didn't have a lot of need for carrying and hauling and towing like a traditional pickup truck.
Right.
But the problem with that neither fish nor fowl chasm is that sometimes if people want a truck, they want a truck. And if they don't want a truck, then they don't want a truck. And so you may get this thing where you're like, hey, it doesn't tow enough and it doesn't haul enough, but at the same time, if I really want something that's going to bring my family, I want the room and space and back end of a Santa Fe. So we will see. I'm excited. I think it's cool. I kind of feel like they're probably at this point 2 years too late.
They are very late to the game, but look at it the other way, which is in Australia and other countries like that, this is known as a ute, and they are very popular. And vehicles like that can still haul quite a bit and can still tow a decent amount, which for a regular family who doesn't need to haul the heavy lumber and everything else might be ideal, especially when they're doing a lot of commuting and they just need a regular vehicle that occasionally can act like a truck.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about the El Camino because it's two-door, right?
Yeah.
You
don't need to talk about
a
that.
lot of those Aussie utes are also two-door.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
there's plenty of four-door ones as well. So this could be an interesting vehicle. Once again, it's one that you've been asking about, and we wanted to jump on this news right away to make sure you got it first.
Yeah, and pricing and fuel economy, we don't know, but I'm guessing somewhere in the mid $20,000 range if it's affordable. If it's a little bit more, it'll be like in the $30,000 range. I mean, mid-size trucks are getting very expensive. A loaded Tacoma now can easily reach almost $50K.
Oh, easily. Yeah, with enough stuff on it. If Hyundai was smart, they would price it below the competitors, and that would probably help their sales.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. We'd like to get your take on actually what you see in these pictures. We jumped on the story right away, so we didn't have a magnifying glass over the images. So we kind of gave you the short and quick of what we have figured out. But if you've spotted something that we missed, we'd love to figure it out, because I'm super excited by this. What are we going to call it? A trucklet? A ute?
A crossover truck, a crossover pickup. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just call it a ute. Just keep it simple.
Truck cross? Cross truck? A cross truck?
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know in the comments below. And dude, I can't wait for this thing to actually be finally unveiled and in production. And I'm happy it's made in Alabama. It's
that is cool.
That is cool. As always, thanks for watching. Remember, you saw it first
on the Fast Lane Truck.
Let.
Let.
See you guys next time. Ciao.